Welcome, everybody, at another episode of the Titan Business Builders podcast. And today we have as guest Rachel Allen, single mom and founder of Making Business Social.
Hi.
Hey, Rachel. Hi.
Hi.
And yeah, you're working and not working. You're on a holiday. You're on a 3-week holiday.
So this is a kind of hybrid experiment for me. So I am currently in Dorset on the south coast, which is my happy place. It's where I love. So I had last week down here with my son. He's now on holiday with his dad. So I'm having a week where I'm kind of catching up and trying to sort of balance working with hanging out in my favorite place in the world. And next at the weekend, my son's coming back. So in total, we're going to be 3 weeks away. And this was a massive dream for me. And I've been working with you, Stefan, since kind of February, March time to try and get everything in place that my business was able to do this. And my big takeaway from this experience so far is that 3 weeks isn't enough. I want to be down here. So I'm going to be putting into place a plan so that I can spend the full 6 weeks of school holidays down here next year. That's what the big plan is.
That seems super feasible, especially if you see where your business is at this time. Only a few more tweaks, Rachel, and you'll be off, and you'll be off for 2 months and nobody will notice.
Yeah, that's it. The thing is, though, I love what I do. So at the minute I'm in a cabin in my Airbnb host's garden, and I've been here quite a lot this week. But do you know what? I love what I do. I love everybody that I'm working with at the moment, and I kind of almost don't see it as work. So I mean, it is, obviously I'm getting paid for it and what have you. But yeah, I do love what I'm doing. But I do think for business owners, it is really important to make sure that they've got those boundaries in. So I'm kind of working really hard this week so I can maximize my free time next week with my son.
Yeah, it's super important that you love what you do, for sure. Tell us, Rachel, like at this situation where you work with customers that you love doing what you do, you can go on a holiday. How did you construct your business? How did you get here? And not so much about what we did together, but how do you make sure that you get in this situation and that you stay in that situation?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would like to say that I think that having a really robust business is the key for this. So obviously a lot of people are now in an online world. My business has evolved in the 5 years since I've had it. So I started off having to, go out and consult and work in-house in organizations' offices. So basically I felt like for the first few years, I was a part-time employee, so I could pick and choose and had some flexibility. But then when those assignments ended, I've then got a massive hole in my income. And obviously, you mentioned that I'm a single parent as well. So it's only my income in the house. So I've worked really hard to try and evolve sort of into more of a sort of agency coaching model, because that gives me the freedom so that I can fit my life, in around, and I can fit work in around my life. So I'm able to earn the money that I want to earn, to have the lifestyle that I want to earn, but I'm not sort of committed to being only getting paid if I go to somebody's office. So I think for me, what I've managed to put into place is a lot of team development. So like a lot of business owners, everything in the business was in my head. If I didn't action and kick everything off, nothing would happen. So that wasn't great. So that was something that I've worked really hard on this year, and I've actually taken on my first employee who works full time for me. So I've actually got an assistant now, which is really massive help for me. And we've got the systems and structures in place so that I can step away from the business. I don't have to be here, doing everything, every second of the day. There was a lot of, it was like the day rate consulting thing. So if I didn't put in an 8-hour day in someone's office, I wouldn't get paid. Like that's not happening now. I'm generating income through the courses and the coaching programs that I've got. So it's not like that constricting sort of piece that I had before. Really, it's much better, and it's loads more fun.
What is your why? Why did you start this business? Why do you want to be an entrepreneur, Rachel?
Why? So, well, my parents ran a business in the 90s. It was very successful, but it was very stressful for them. And my dad loved it. My mum hated it. It cost her mentally and emotionally. But they kind of had to run it together because things like virtual assistants and the internet weren't like massive things. So those are massive game changers for people, that advancement in technology. It means we can live, run these businesses from anywhere in the world, really. So basically, I always knew I was going to have my own business, but for me, it was important to kind of have that 15 years of corporate experience. There's a lot of people now who kind of see the laptop lifestyle and think that they can do it with no experience and backup. And I'm like, yeah, some people probably will, but I'm like, good luck with that. I sort of pride myself on having that sort of solid experience. But basically, Stefan, I don't think I could do a job. I think I've always struggled in jobs because I'm like, but we could do this, or we could make it that much better. And I think that's what makes me a good entrepreneur, makes me a good business owner. I'm always thinking about how I can evolve my business, how I can offer new solutions to be better for my clients. But sometimes I felt, particularly in big corporate organizations, which I largely worked in. I've worked in large tech firms. I've worked for a large mental health charity, big corporate. I just found it too constricting, too many decision makers, too many stakeholders. It drove me nuts. And I did have a tough time when the pandemic started. A lot of my business just dropped. It happened for a lot of people. And I've really fought to try and build it back up. And it's better than it ever was. Like, it genuinely is. But I was just panicking. I was like, I said to my mum in March last year, I was like, what if I have to get a job? I just don't think I'd ever be able to work for anybody again. I just couldn't do it. It's not for me. I think I've had 5 years, nearly 6 years of success of doing this on my own. I just could never go back to that.
I think that's the mindset of a lot of entrepreneurs, especially like if I look at myself, this is definitely true for myself as well. It's always wanting to implement more and having visions about what they should be doing, strategies and so on. We are visionaries. I mean, I think you as well. We always come with the ideas. We have a lot of ideas, and in a corporate world, it's not always as easy just to say, okay, let's do this now, or let's do that now. No.
Yeah.
It's like you say, right now you're using a catchphrase, which I like, and which tells also that corporate business is not for us. And it's about no dicking around.
No dicking around. That is my catchphrase. There are t-shirts out there. Yeah, because I think the thing is, we spend a lot of time on wasted activities, and particularly in corporate world, I must attend this meeting, I must fill out this spreadsheet. And it's kind of like, I like to be able to go, you just don't need to do that. Or let's do it. For me as well, as a small business owner, time is money. So I don't want my team wasting time on activities that aren't going to generate any return. But specifically, the no dicking around concept kind of comes from, and you can apply it to all manner of, in all aspects of your life. Same with the concept of don't be a dick. But particularly in the social media world, which is where I'm coaching business owners, like, you can spend a lot of time dicking around on social media. You can get involved in Twitter spats with strangers, in just scrolling endlessly, and then just not looking at things so in the right way. So what my approach is for coaching is making with social media, and my Making Business Social program is making sure that you've got that really robust strategy in place for your social media, so that when you are going onto a social media platform, you're doing it with purpose. You know exactly who your ideal client is, where they're hanging out. So when you're spending time in groups or, you know, on other platforms, you're doing it with that mindfulness. You're not just sort of like drifting around. You're not dicking around. You're going on and going, I've got concerted time and a goal in mind. I want to find 3 of my ideal clients and engage with their content and offer them a piece of value that can help them, because I'm trying to move them forward so that they're a step closer to working with me.
That's also where your current offer or your current course comes from, like making business social. Can I also say it's making business be more social in a simplified way? Because most of the businesses think it's a lot of work and it's not for them, right?
So many people. So my big thing for business owners is about cutting out the social media overwhelm, because people go, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say. So my program is very much implementation focused. So it's about implementing social relationships. That's the core element of what I do. So we start off with understanding like your strategy. So what's your competitive environment like? Who is your ideal client? What problems are they facing? So that, you know, where are your clients hanging out online and stuff, so that you've got that in mind. We then start looking internally at sort of, you know, what I call the core pillars, because what we're trying to do is then generate content ideas for the business owners, so that they've got, when after the 8-week course with me, they've got a bank of content that they can just draw down on, so they know exactly what they need, what they can talk about. So we generate all these ideas. For one guy, this was probably my biggest success. In an hour, he's an energy transformation specialist, therapist. In 1 hour, we got 111 content ideas for him. And 111 is a very magic number if you're in that spirit. So yes, I was absolutely so delighted with that. It was amazing. You know, and the thing is, if you are stuck on your social media and you just don't know, and you just go, I don't know what to put. We put together a really simple workbook for you, so that you've got somewhere to go to drill down on those ideas and get that inspiration. And we give you the tools so that you can go in and get your social media scheduled and organized. You don't have to create every single piece of content from scratch every time as well. So we've got the tools that you can use so that you can make the whole thing quicker and less overwhelming. You don't have to just start every day with a, you know, write a post on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is and go, that blank piece of paper. You've got that point to start with. And I think that's really helpful for people. It just cuts out that overwhelm.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you say there, that if you have already some kind of a content plan ahead of schedule and you come to the day that you need to post something, at least you can just take that and try to make it work. But a lot of people still, like you said, they wake up and they wanna, they feel like, okay, I need to do something on social media because it's been a while or whatnot, and then they spend hours first on looking, what should I do? Then they spend hours creating the post, and then they post it, and then nothing happens.
It's a bit like when you want to go into the supermarket. If you've got your list, you know exactly which aisles you need to go in. If you haven't got your list, you're going to wander around. It's going to take you even longer. And for people in the UK, there's this kind of joke about Aldi, like you go down the special aisle and you end up with a 2-man tent and a canoe. Like that's the equivalent of what happens to you on social media. If you're not going in with like the right strategy and purpose, you're going to end up with a dicking around and coming out with a 2-man tent. And to be honest, we've all got businesses to run. So social media is a brilliant way to build relationships with your target client, but you can't sit on there all day. You've got other stuff to do, so you need to try and make sure that you're doing it with purpose and being as efficient as you possibly can.
Being strategic about it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Have that clear vision in mind of who you need to get to, and how you can have a conversation with them.
So for somebody that's listening and that says, okay, but how long will this then take me? Like you said, okay, an hour for content pieces, but what else do they really need to make sure that this will work? Do they need specific tools, or do they need a specific process? Maybe hire somebody else, or
Yeah. So there's different ways of doing it, and particularly with my program, it can work in a couple of different ways. So a lot of business owners that I work with are sort of coaches or consultants. They're business owners on their own. They may have a virtual assistant, or an admin manager or somebody like that that can help. So again, this program is quite implementable. You don't need to be a marketing specialist at all, because we give you the framework and the training to use the tools to do it. So it does help. It's a practice. Again, it's a bit like weightlifting. You start off with a couple of like little dinky weights at the end of your thing, and then by the end of it you're lifting massive weights and stuff. So it's a practice. You just need to get into the habit and the rhythm of creating content. I genuinely believe that the best people to deliver the content for their business is the business themselves. You can outsource to an agency, and a lot of people like to do it because they go, oh yeah, I just want to pay money and get that outsourced. But you either, to get an agency that's really good, you have to spend quite a lot of time briefing them. So that's time consuming for you, and it's costly for the agency. And you don't want, a lot of people are like, oh, we'll give the social media marketing to the intern to do. And it's like, well, there'll be elements of that you can help for them to execute for you, like designing graphics in Canva. That's a really good thing. But who's thinking about the message? Who's got that strategy about the message? We ideally want business owners like coming on to doing stuff like this, because that's when you really get to know and understand a business, and whether you want to like and work with them and things. So I think business owners really need to do it themselves, but it takes time. You just need to make a starting point. You just need to start getting out there, getting into the habit, and being consistent. That's a massive issue as well, I think.
Yeah, that's an awesome point that you say, make it a habit, because this is also something that I say a lot of times, especially if we're talking about time management, and you need to make sure that you do the activities that move the needle. I always say make a habit out of your time as well. So plan that specific activity. If it's now social media, well, plan it on the same day, on the same time, every week, maybe an hour or whatnot. But if you do that, it becomes a habit, and then you will be consistent. And you only need like that 1 hour, maybe, if you are able to plan ahead and then spend also time on that, maybe once a month or something like that. But
So I would say that a really good model for business owners that need some help is to have a look at what they can outsource. So like the production of graphics, like I hate that. Editing videos, I hate that. My assistant does that for me. He loves it. It's brilliant. I'm like, and he can fiddle around and and we're like, how do we do this? And then he looks it up on YouTube and stuff. So because it's, the technology and everything's changing all the time. So that kind of stuff, I just outsource, I just get that support with. I'm also a massive fan. There's a coach called, it's Paul Holbrook, who's got the Detox Diary. And he is very clear. He's like, if you do not put the specific time in your diary to do that activity, is it going to happen? So work out your time. So a lot of people have their coffee at 8:30 or whatever time it is in the morning. They have their coffee and their LinkedIn, and that's where they're engaging with people on LinkedIn or whatever platform it is. Have that time and go, I know that go to a coffee shop or so that it's a little treat, but that time is allocated in your diary to do that activity, because if you don't have it in your diary, it won't happen.
Absolutely. And you also mentioned adding something that is fun. So this is something that also, if people read the book Atomic Habits,
Mm-hmm.
that's also where the concept of stacking habits and adding something fun, so you're actually looking forward to that specific
Yeah.
thing. So those kind of techniques definitely help
Yeah.
us.
So
Yeah.
I'm coaching a lady at the moment. So she's on my program, but we identified that, she's really blocked with some of what she's doing. So she needs some extra help. So we're bolting some extra sessions on for her. She really knows her subject very well, but she's just incredibly blocked. So I've said to her, what you need to do is go to the coffee shop or whatever venue that is. But sometimes you need, when you're trying to be creative as well, get out of your environment.
Yeah.
Walk, move. Another one of my clients, he's like, I'm at my most creative after my morning meditation. And I've also challenged him when he's surfing, get some ideas going, have your coffee or whatever you do when you afterwards, and have your notebook and write some ideas down. Because, when you're in flow and you're creative and you're not in this sort of like stifled environment, where you're delivering, if you're trying to be creative in your business, step outside of your environment. I think that's really important. Come to Dorset.
Yeah.
Creativity is flowing.
Or go to Barcelona for a month. And
is that where you are now?
No, I'm back in Belgium.
Oh, okay.
I spent a month in Barcelona. That was also an experience which I can talk a lot about. But
it's so cool. We're so lucky that we can do this.
I mean, but that's the thing. And a lot of people tell me, yeah, wow, so adventurous and wow, so amazing. But people forget that they can do it themselves. Like, you are the example that you can do this. I do it as well. And there are many more out there that probably are thinking, yeah, but is that really possible? Should you find a job if you move countries? Shouldn't you find a job there? No, just build something sustainable online, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, I mean, you have to have the entrepreneurial mindset to take that risk for sure. But it's
really funny actually, because I liked working in offices because I like to be around people. Obviously, as a single parent, like, in the evenings I don't, my son's in bed, and so I do miss adult company. So I got that adult company from being in the office. Then when I wasn't going into corporate offices so much, I had a leased office, and I had some freelancers coming in to work with me, and that cost me a lot of money to do that, and it did impact my business, and I kind of regret that now. But actually, all this online, since the pandemic and the online, I just feel like I've got like amazing connections with so many awesome people, and the ability to do this. Like, I don't need to be directly with people. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is still nice to see actual people, not via a screen, but this is so, this is so good. The webcam and the Zoom and all that kind of stuff, it can be fatiguing, but it really does help. I've never felt so supported in my business when I work physically completely on my own.
The amount of relationships that you can build this way is huge. There's no limitation.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
that's how I can help somebody from England.
Yeah,
you can talk somebody from Belgium. So
yeah.
All right, cool. So Rachel, in your current business, what does it look like for the next coming months? So how does growth looks like for you?
So that's a really interesting question. I have picked up quite a lot of new business, and I've developed another program. So I'm trying to step away from doing people's marketing, because that's I've kind of bought this concept of sort of like renting versus owning your house. Okay, so with the current, book me and I'll do your marketing for you. It's like renting. You're kind of throwing money away. You're not investing anything in your business. So what I've built is a new program called Making Marketing Simple, like what I've done there. So it's like the baseline of your marketing function that can be delivered regularly by an in-house team. It doesn't need a consultant like me with 20 years experience. So that's my new package. So I'm working with my first client on that in September, which is very exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. And I feel like I've now got 2 very clear offers that help solve this big expensive problem of I need to do marketing, but I need to make sure that I'm doing the right things and that it's sustainable activity. So, you know, I'm helping business owners to get that intellectual property, is that even the right thing? But all my processes and templates and coaching and everything is then going into their business so that they've got that as like an asset, really. So that is where the big area of growth is. And I will be launching my 3rd cohort for Making Business Social as well, which starts again on the 8th of September. So it's my last week of coaching this current cohort in next Wednesday. So we're looking at evaluation. So yeah, be sad not to have my little gang with me on a Wednesday morning for a couple of weeks, but we'll be starting out with a new group, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. So I will show you, or I will show everybody where they can find you. So if they are interested as well in making marketing simple,
yes,
or making business social,
yes, two there.
Then they can go here to the Facebook group right here.
Yeah, that's the best place to find me.
Yeah, they can connect with you and all sorts of things.
Yes.
Cool. Perfect. All right. Thank you, Rachel, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
To see you again. And yeah, I would say much more holidays coming up.
Yeah, I've got another week at the end of August as well, and that I'm going to try and really make sure that is an actual week off with no work. So
close that laptop.
Yeah, huh? Absolutely. Okay.
Right, great, Rachel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
See you later. Bye. Bye.